Hello and welcome to another wonderful show of the Resilience Reef, which is a show where we share stories and we share strategies of resilience for people to manage chronic health conditions better. People are at all stages, all ages with their chronic illness, and this show hopes to cover a broad range of things, from the people in the very early stages to people in the very late stages who have gone through it all, dealt with all the stuff, learned some great things, and have gone on to do things because of the condition. Now, on today's show, I do have a special guest joining me today, Kath Mazzella. Kath is herself is a gynaecological cancer survivor. She's a health educator. And she's an award-winning awareness campaigner, and a good one at that. So I'm going to bring Kath in to welcome her to the show. Come on in, Kath. How are you?
Hello, Karen. Great to be here.
Thanks for coming on the show. Once I saw your story, it was just so compelling. We had to share it. So you indeed are a gynecological cancer survivor, and we're going to just talk a little bit about your backstory in terms of where your journey began a good few years ago now. But we're going to just share that story. If you want to kick us off and just start where you wish and tell us what you wish to tell us.
Okay, so here I am. When I was a busy working mother at 39 years of age, I had an abnormal pap smear and I popped off and had my cervix lasered with not much instructions of why they did that. And then about 18 months later, I found a lump next to my clitoris, which is in the vulva. So, and I just want to point out here that the vulva and the vagina are two separate parts of our anatomy. So, anyhow, I went to 2 GPs and 2 gynecologists, and they said, oh, it's common, don't worry about it. In the end, my mother said it's not normal because she's had breast cancer, and she said, you really should have lumps checked out. And I thought, but Mum, what would you know, opposed to these 4 experts? But it played on my mind, so I ended up having it biopsied. And I was telephoned when I was home by myself and said that was actually cancer. And I just couldn't believe that, this would happen to me. And so I saw a gynecologist-oncologist, which I didn't even know such a person existed, which is a gynecological cancer expert. And I remember him drawing on the board how he was to remove my clitoris, vulva, and lymph glands. I'll say that again, to remove my clitoris, vulva, and lymph glands. Can you even imagine being told as a woman that this is happening? And, so I went in and had this all removed, and I thought, oh my God, what's this all about? Why is this so? But I went to turn to some women's groups, and it's like, oh no, only experts can talk about these things. If you have breast cancer, come in the door. But if you have anything vulva, that's revolting and disgusting, and we don't talk about it or whatever. And it really broke my heart that I thought the system would be behind me. But I gradually started to understand why they were like that and why the gynecology had so much power of the knowledge around this. But dare I speak out? So 18 months after my operation, my husband had to pick up the pieces, and he actually had to have 5 bypasses at age 49 because he internalized, he had to pick up the pieces of the family life and the teenage children and all that sort of thing. So it was such a mess that I had to try and work out. Everybody went on about their business, and there was me, myself, and I thought, what the hell happened? Why is this? And it's such a big secret. I thought there was a conspiracy around it. I really did. Yeah. So I after going to some of the women's groups, I thought, what's this all about? So I put an ad in the Woman's Day, and all these ladies wrote me these horrific, horrible stories about what was happening to them, how they were being treated, and how scared they were. So I travelled Australia to meet with some of these women, and I thought, oh my God, there's something wrong with me that I don't understand, that I just think that this is not right. But everybody thought, you have to put up with it and shut your mouth and just get on with it. So it was from there I formed a support network, which is Gynaecological Awareness Information Network. That was in the year 2000. I'm no longer on that committee, but I'm still a life member, and they're doing some wonderful work. But again, it's still a challenge for a support group to have gynecological awareness because most people still don't want to know about it. And I thought, why is it like this? And I found the word pudendum in the dictionary, and the Latin version of that word says female genitalia, one who should and ought to be ashamed, the shameful part of a woman. Well, that made me so angry because I thought, I am not going to be ashamed, even though other women are ashamed of whatever happened, and even some of them are ashamed of me. I did not care because I knew other women that had died and some women that having to suffer with having all this removed, and yet nobody cares, and it's all done behind the closed doors. So you can see where my passion is coming from. So
absolutely, for sure.
So while we're on GAIN, I thought nobody's interested. So I rang Senator Amanda Vanstone's office and I said, what can we do? And they said, we'll have a national day. And I said, but how do we do that? She said, well, you just declare it. So I now, on my own right, have declared an International Gynaecological Awareness Day.
Good
so
for you.
can't do
Good
that.
job.
Well, get out of my way while I make it happen because it is
Good
going to
job.
happen. Women deserve
Good
more
job.
than what they're being dealt with. So
can I just step in there, Kath? Because you at the very beginning was this caring person who took it all in a stride. She accepted what she was told. She thought they knew best, and you went with it. That person that you were then sounds very, very different to the person you are today. And what changed? What was it for you that in those early days took you from just accepting what is, and that I have to deal with this. This is my lot. This is what happens. And you know, Tony getting so ill over it as well because he was having to deal with all the stuff on the back end, as partners, as family members do, who are there for us, but really they're suffering as much as we are sometimes because they have to do everything that we can't do. So what was it? What were the factors that for you made the difference? What kind of, how did you get your strength to be able to do that?
Well, I come from a family of 5 girls, and my father was an alcoholic from the war, and he disappeared and left mum with the 5 girls. So we had to battle and scrimp and scrape. And then at one time there, mum realised that we didn't have the education, but we could have had the opportunity to have the education. And I was putting all the pieces together, and I sort of think, well, hold on a minute. I felt very betrayed. And furthermore, I don't like to lose. You know, there's something in me. It's like, but I want to win. And I remember I won a tennis match once. I couldn't play very well, but I won the tennis match. And I thought, I don't like to lose. And so I thought, this is me. I watch the footballers and who wins and who doesn't win and whatever. And I've got that drive to sort of think, you cannot do this to me, but you cannot do this to other women without having better education. So, but it was through that I was pretty much, you know, trying to sort things out. But eventually I became the Australian Secretary of the National Council of Women. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea about women's organisations, but I soon learned a lot through that. And so through my not-for-profit, we sent a petition off to the federal government and about gynaecological health. And that's how the National Gynaecological Cancer Centre was established. And I got the Cancer Australia Award for gynaecological cancer. But I'm still challenged to find even some of those cancer centres for me to speak out because, you know, having vulva removed, not everybody wants to hear that. But if they support breast cancer, why can't you support vulval cancer? I mean, it's just as tragic to have your vulva removed as it is for your breast.
I think it's a very taboo topic to talk about, isn't it? I mean, I know because I've had issues with mine recently, and I've been to see my immunologist, my dermatologist, I've been to see my GP. And as soon as you mention the V word, It's kind of like, how do you even know that word? Like, why are you telling me what I need to look at? I'm like, well, I know what my anatomy is, and I know what I need you to look at. And so I've had examined countless times in the last few weeks, actually, because I'm concerned they might not necessarily know enough about what I know about, because I've researched it. I've done a lot of research. That's what I do. But a lot of women are not in that position that can go and advocate for themselves, can they, at their GPs, or even know where to start, even know whether an issue is an issue, actually, because we don't talk about these things, do we?
Well, that's right. And you just sort of take it for granted. Sometimes you just put up with it, but I'm not the type to just put up with it. So, but then I remember I used to go to women's organisations and they'd say, any news? And I'd say, yes, gynaecological health. And one lady wrote to me last year and she said, Kath, I want to apologise, because she said, when you used to come to the meeting, we all wanted to hide under the tablecloth because of what I spoke about. And I know it can be confronting at times. Even a health scientist,
well, it needs to be.
A female health scientist said to me, she said, even your scrapbook of your journey, Kath, I find it confronting. I thought, you feel confronting. Imagine how I feel and how these other women who are dying and suffering with these things. You know, I don't particularly love selling my soul to the world, but I will not live in this world when women are dying and suffering from. But this is not only about vulval cancer. My daughter, I found out after my operation that she had polycystic ovaries and endometriosis. I didn't know such things existed, and how these young women suffer. And I could not get my head around why women's groups are not dealing with this, even this day and age, better than what they are. So
absolutely, I can so sense your emotion, Kath, honestly, and that anger, that sense of frustration, and you know, a lack of awareness and understanding that you can't get because you have it and they don't. That is driving you, isn't it? That is driving you to where you are to advocate and to campaign. And I reckon I would even use the word activism, because I know it's a loose term, but I think it needs activism, just like every other cause in society. Because
but I'm really pleased. Sorry to interrupt. I'm really pleased to say that I spoke with a young GP lecturer the other day, and she said, Kath, she said, every time I speak to you, I'm learning something every day. So I'm going to be speaking to 30 GPs about the vulva. And I just sort of think, oh, this is totally amazing that 27 years of pushing this cart, and then here I am talking to GPs about the vulva. And it's quite funny, really. The whole story, which I can't get my head around, you know.
But you know, why are these people? So what kind of things will you be telling them? Tell us about that. What will you be telling them, these GPs?
Well, first of all, that the first thing is that a vulva is not a vagina. Because I have spoken with a doctor, a registrar, and she said, oh, I'll check your vagina. I said, you mean my vulva? She said, no, the vagina is the whole thing. And I said, well, you know, I beg to differ that it's not. But I said, why do you do that? And she said, because that's what society is taught, society believes it is. And I think, so we're teaching society the incorrect language or whatever.
Correct. Is that what we're being taught at school? Because I don't even remember any sex education at school, to be honest. But
no, but I
it's very limited.
I think they're teaching it's the vulva, but for some reason or other, everybody thinks, well, calling it a vagina is a lot easier. But it's so incorrect.
It's hiding things, isn't it? It's really simplifying things that can't be simplified. They need their own description and labels.
But I wanted to talk about this quilt. When I used to work, a lady in the next building, she was a quilter and a Perth Modern Quilters, and so she made up a quilt with these funky quilts on it or whatever. And
I'll put you on full screen because I can't only see half of it. There we go. Yeah, carry on.
So I went to, I took the quilt to a Country Women's Association, and straight away they asked me to speak at their 90th conference. But if I went there to say, let's talk about gynaecological health, it was still very much taboo. But the quilt opened the door for me to speak at their 90th conference. This quilt here was made by the Perth Modern, by the West Australian quilters. And I went to visit my son in London, and a friend rang me while she was in London and said, oh, Kath, bring your quilt into BBC front counter. And I thought, as if BBC is going to be interested in, you know. So I took it to the front counter, and within a week I was on BBC Women's Hour. And I thought, oh my gosh, it was so amazing what these quilts. But what it's doing, it's including the community, and it's a tool to be able to get the message out for, you know,
Yeah,
people to
absolutely.
understand a bit more. So some of the other
Well,
things.
the nice thing is, Kath, it's something acceptable that people. It's pictorial. It's an image. It's a symbol, but yet you're not having to be graphical about it, are you? And that's what people are struggling with: the graphical details of what we're talking about here. Yeah.
And I think you've got to add a bit of humour, and you sort of think, oh, you can't have humour with gynecology. Well, yes, you can. You know, don't tell me you can't do anything, because you can. So I've devised these undies, and we do workshops with these cardboard
Okay, I'll put you on full screen just a sec. Yep, go ahead.
These undies, and we have a bit of fun and putting jewellery and things on it. But if you lift it up like this, it's got the gynaecological anatomy underneath, and it's a great way. It can still be discreet, but it's still, you know, it's still getting the message out. Another thing that I've got, we've got the Red Knickers Day for the Gynae Awareness Day this year, and so I'm making up these things. I don't know whether you can guess what that is. It's April, and then I was given these papers the other day, and I thought, oh, I could make some undies out of those. So these are what we've got for the Gynae Awareness Day, and having the ladies. We've got a song that we sing, and it's called the Dynamite Song. So just trying to find some strategies to, you know, get attention without sort of being too in your face. I'll just show you one more thing, just so others might learn how they can. You know, what they can do. Remember these paper talk or chatter boxes we used to have at school?
Oh yeah.
And so it's got all the gynae words on the outside, and then it's got the conditions on here.
Very good.
That's got periods, just one word, and where is it? And it says the monthly bleeding discharge from the uterus. So, and then it opens up to all the world, and including the vulva, which doesn't go like that.
Good job.
But they're still not accepted by some powers that be, because I don't have a degree, and sometimes I'm treated like, I don't understand why, even in this day and age, because I've got 10 awards. I don't need any more awards. I have the acknowledgement, yes, I'm great and wonderful, and yet my ideas seem to be falling on deaf ears. But
well, I think it's always difficult. It's always difficult. You know, there's people been fighting for climate change for God, how many years, decades and decades and decades. We know what needs to change, but the people at the top, the policymakers, they've got their own agendas. And I think that's the problem, is that if you're fighting the top geared people, which is where it needs to come from, actually, you get very far, very, very, very slowly. Is what I'm saying.
It's very sad, because they're in that position to make the changes, and yet they're the ones that sometimes block the system.
That's right. Is any have you talked to like the education system or ministers or whoever's involved in that to see what's going on in schools? Because I think this kind of thing has to start early, right?
Yeah.
People have to be okay using these words, and they've got to be familiar to us and every day. Like, you know, a lot of words we use these days wouldn't have been accepted back in the day, but they do now. Like, why are we not learning to desensitize ourselves to using these words?
Well, I was always told by lots of women's groups, oh, don't say vulva, don't say vagina, it might be offensive to some of the ethnic groups. Well, I'm pleased to say the Seroptimist International sponsored me to go to Kuala Lumpur to speak to 1,000 ethnic women, and I said to the international president, but how am I going to say vulva if you're not allowed to say the word vulva? She said, Kath, I want you to say the word vulva and your life experience. And I thought, oh my God. And that's why the Seroptimists in Western Australia have now agreed to celebrate the Gynae Awareness Day with the Red Knickers campaign. So, you know, you can see
it's slow,
building.
It's getting there, but it's networking, and it's like any cause, any campaign that we kind of try and activate. It takes time, but you know, women have been on this planet since the day of love. So why are we still talking about this as an issue that needs addressing? It seems bizarre, doesn't it?
It does. It's really strange, but we need to understand that the women have been programmed to sort
Yeah.
of have this
Yeah.
mindset, and the gynecologists have had this mindset. And the deal is, to me, is to bring us all together, and we're all walking the same path. So it makes it easier
Yeah.
for the doctor. We can save lives. And sometimes women living with parts of their vulva removed, but it's like, well, just get on with it. It's not a case, you might have your breasts removed and you do get on with it and whatever, but you have your vulva removed, you have the stinging and the bleeding, and even to bear down on your bowel stretches the vulva, whatever's left of your vulva, and it's just
Absolutely.
catastrophic. And this lady I know
It's one
that
of
is
the
suffering at the moment, I thought, I will not accept that these women are dying and nobody cares. And yet I don't understand why I've got 10 awards, that nothing seems, well, not nothing, things are changing, but
you're
I
doing
get
a
very
great job.
frustrated.
You're doing a hell of a lot compared to most people that are able to, to do this. And it's because I think you're driven. You've got the emotion, and you have got the attitude that says, do you know what? I'm going to talk about this. You can listen or you can't, but I'm going to talk about it. You're not going to stop me from doing that. And that's true resilience, right?
Sometimes, when you walk in a room, people are going, oh my God, keep away from her. Well, that's okay.
She's the vulva woman. Stop it. Oh, well, it's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure chatting today. And I think we do need to have fun on this. We need to break down some of those barriers and laugh about it. But also, it is an incredibly super serious issue. We know that. And people are dying because they're not going forward. They're fearing going and getting, checked and assessed and tested because shame, blame.
We live in fear.
Yeah,
it's the fear and the embarrassment that we have to change. But I actually do a fashion parade with the gynae bits. I've got a fruit bowl shaped like a vulva and a long skinny part of vagina. And the girls wear a crown. And then I've got some sashes with Miss Vagina and whatever. And we'll say, here's Miss Vagina, here's Miss Vulva. And it's like, let's have some fun with our bodies,
I can see this as a cartoon. It should be a kid's cartoon teaching, like Sesame Street, teaching the alphabet game. We should be teaching them bits of the body that are important.
But I'm liaising with a university at the moment, and the seroptimists are really trying to get behind it. So I'm really pleased to see the progress that's happening, but I'm still saddened that some women are dying at this very moment, and it breaks my heart, something chronic,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is the drive that's going to keep you doing what you're doing, but we have to look after ourselves as well. So make sure you look after yourself and Tony at the same time.
But I'm the Jean Hales Women's Health Champion, Jean Hales Women's Health Week Champion in September. So that's really fantastic to have that support. And I have got the Australia Day Ambassador on that as well. So, I'm doing my best, but I can't do this on my own. So I'm asking everybody out there to bring out your red undies and start to flash your undies on the Gynae Awareness Day and just have a bit of fun with it in your community.
Remind us what day that is again.
It's Saturday, the 10th of September.
10th of September. I will jot that down, put that out, because this needs to go out on Saturday, the 10th of September as a replay, is what I said.
And so I look forward to seeing what undies you designed, Karen.
Well, I'll give it a go there, Kath.
You could also put, I'm asking people to put your own business, decorate your own undies, but put your business name on these undies and support it. So that way you're sharing your own business with the undies.
So where do we share them, Kath? What's the idea?
We'll share them on my Facebook, Kath Mazzella. Maybe Facebook, Kath Mazzella. And my website is kathmazzella.com. That's KATHMAZZELLA.com. Yeah.
When you say share them, what how would people do that?
Well,
send you a pic on.
Yeah, send a pic. Decorate your undies. Whichever way, it doesn't have to be anything like this, but just decorate it and send it off and say, I support Gynae Awareness Day, and put your business name on there just so that you show everybody else that you're interested in gynaecological health.
Super duper. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Kath. It's been a pleasure.
No, my
And I'm
pleasure.
sure I would like to get you back sometime soon later, because this is a cause that I don't think we should let go quiet. I think it's something that needs to be kept up in the air and talked about as much as we can. But I'm going to be putting this show out again on the 10th and see, as another spoke in the wheel.
Yeah, let's talk about the mental health side of gynecology, because there's such a huge connection, but a lot of people don't see that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We'll do another show on that. That sounds great.
Fantastic, Karen.
Have a wonderful day, Kath. Thanks for joining us.
And viva la vulva to you all.
Viva la vulva. I love that. Thanks, Kath. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Talk to you again soon. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye then.